Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Boruto chapter 66, spoilers, full spoilers by the way. My goodness. This chapter right here was literally a banger. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm gonna try to save all of my opinions for my actual chapter review. This right here is just solely to give you guys the spoilers, what actually happened during the chapter. And the first thing that I have to bring up, Kawaki has actually killed Boruto. Or that's what it seems. As of right now, Boruto is laying on the ground completely lifeless. Now let's start from the top. The chapter essentially starts with a couple of pans of Kawaki. This right here is going to be very interesting, man, because in the last chapter we didn't really know what Kawaki's eye was. Now we have an idea. So it's essentially like the same kind of eye that Isshiki Otsutsuki had, but it's not necessarily as strong. And I say it's not necessarily as strong, man, because it's not the full and complete Dharma wheel. Isshiki Otsutsuki's eye looks like this with multiple triangles around it. Kawaki's eye, though, didn't necessarily have that much triangles, and of course, when he did activate it, it started to gain more triangles, which essentially means to me, the more triangles that it does have, the stronger his eye actually does get. Now, specifically where he got this eye from, we have absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea. Specifically, the amount of triangles that Kawaki's eye had in this specific chapter was about 2 to 4, depending on what he was doing at that given time. Now, coming off of the heels of that information, they got right into the action. There was absolutely no games. This chapter was mostly Kawaki versus BoruShiki, and of course, it absolutely did not disappoint. Now, specifically judging by the spoilers that I did actually read, by the way, spoilers all come from Organic Dinosaur. She's essentially the GOAT. She translates a lot of the good things, gets the chapter a little bit early, so she gives us the information. But regardless, Kawaki versus BoruShiki, in my personal opinion, was essentially like kind of a stalemate. Kawaki and BoruShiki were eerily similar. Kawaki in this actual battle fought almost exactly like Isshiki Otsutsuki. It was like an Isshiki Otsutsuki slash Kawaki with his Karma Seal, kind of a hybrid fighting style. And I'll give you guys an example. In the beginning of the fight, Kawaki materialized 9 black rods. If you guys do recall, Jigen plus Isshiki Otsutsuki used to materialize black rods all the time and try to pierce their opponents with it. Of course, he tried to do that with BoruShiki. BoruShiki eventually dodged like the first 4 or 5. Now, not only that, he also materialized 4 black cubes above BoruShiki a little bit later in the battle, almost exactly similar to what Isshiki Otsutsuki did to Boruto, Sasuke, and Naruto back in Boruto episode 216 and 17. But as I said, it was like a hybrid between both. After he originally materialized those 9 black rods, and of course didn't necessarily hit BoruShiki, BoruShiki did a very good job of actually evading it. By the way, BoruShiki was no slouch in this episode, even though I think eventually we could possibly say that Kawaki won the battle. BoruShiki was absolutely no slouch. Right after Kawaki tried to hit BoruShiki with the rods, Kawaki came back, actually morphed his arm into like a scythe and tried to attack Boruto with taijutsu. So it's not necessarily like he's a copy and pasted Isshiki Otsutsuki. That's not what it is at all. Kawaki is using a mix of his own abilities plus Isshiki Otsutsuki's abilities, and I think this right here is probably going to be the best way to go about it. Not only that, during this battle, he also tried to use fire style as well. BoruShiki ended up absorbing that as well. BoruShiki in this episode did the complete regular. He tried to use the Rasengan a couple of times. This right here is very different from Kawaki and Isshiki Otsutsuki. Isshiki Otsutsuki, not Jigen, but Isshiki rarely absorbed chakra. I don't think he ever absorbed chakra. In this chapter right here, though, Kawaki absorbed the Rasengan. So again, it's like a mix between Kawaki and Isshiki Otsutsuki. Now, remind you guys, while this insane battle is like engulfing like 75% of this chapter, Naruto, Shikamaru, and Code, they're going absolutely ballistic. At this particular point, Code is essentially trying to talk to Ida and try to figure out exactly how in the world Kawaki got his Karma Seal and how in the world Kawaki got an eye. Remind you guys, last chapter, BoruShiki was essentially bullying Code. Now it seems that Kawaki, a person that Code thought of as being absolute fodder, is essentially matching BoruShiki, which is, of course, for him, absolutely astonishing. So again, Code is essentially talking to Ida, trying to find out some information. Ida isn't necessarily speaking in definitives, which is very interesting, man, because with her abilities, you would think that she'd know exactly what actually happened. So Ida actually said that the new Karma Seal was the doing of Amato. Now that right there was 100% definitive, and of course it's backed up in the chapter as well, mainly because in the beginning of the chapter we did see a flashback with Amato and Kawaki. Furthermore, Ida actually says that the preparations for the brand new Karma Seal was probably made by time Kawaki got his new arm reconstructed. If you guys do recall, Kawaki got his arm blasted off by Delta, but it got reconstructed after the Isshiki Otsutsuki battle. Now at this particular time, I'm completely confused, mainly because Ada said probably, which means that she doesn't fully know. Now again, I do have to put a caveat on this, mainly because this right here isn't necessarily the official translations. All shouts to Organic Dinosaur, but we have to wait until the actual translations come out before it starts to pick apart words. But the track record for Organic Dinosaur and these type of things are really good. So this right here tells me it's not 100% definitive that Eden knows exactly what's going on. Now a very interesting thing happened right after this. Shikamaru, who is essentially being held captive by Code, realizes that Code is actually talking to someone in his ear. Now he doesn't necessarily know who Code is talking to, and he can't necessarily see who Code is talking to. But one of the best things that we do know of right now is the fact that Shikamaru now understands that Code has a teammate. Speaking of Shikamaru, in this chapter, he really didn't do anything. He was essentially just a hostage. Him sitting there gaining knowledge upon the opposition is only going to bring about good things for the Hidden Leaf Village. Now, Naruto again, he's absolutely going ballistic because at this particular time, Kawaki is actually going in for the kill. Kawaki is actually trying to absolutely finish Boruto. Now, Kawaki in this particular scene, he's essentially rationalizing it by saying that he's doing this in the best interest of Naruto. One of the most popular theories that I did kind of see floating around Twitter and everything else before we did actually get the full context was the fact that Isshiki Otsutsuki's power overwhelmed Kawaki and Kawaki kind of went rogue. That is not what happened. Kawaki is essentially doing this for the best interest of the Hokage. Naruto in turn doesn't completely understand, man, because it is his son, and of course they get into like a back and forth argument. Now this right here was a very interesting time. Kawaki and Naruto start to get into like a mini argument, but Boruto starts to open up his left eye. If you guys don't necessarily remember, when Boruto opens up his left eye, it essentially indicates that hey, Boruto is now starting to awaken. It's not necessarily going to be Momoshiki only that's in control. Now once Boruto started to awaken, Kawaki thought to himself, this right here was a green light opportunity. Kawaki for the first time in the chapter appeared 4 triangles in his eyes and materialized a black cube right above Boruto. It was essentially about to absolutely squish Boruto. Naruto jumps in the way and actually saves Boruto / BoruShiki. They're both kind of alive and in control at this particular time. It's like joint custody of the body. But right after that, Naruto goes ballistic on Kawaki because of course Kawaki is genuinely trying to kill Boruto. Naruto in his mind is still thinking that hey, this is my son. Kawaki is essentially talking back to Naruto and essentially trying to rationalize it by saying, you're kind of blind in this situation. Your judgment is impaired. So of course Kawaki is then still trying to take it upon himself to actually finish the job. Boruto, just Boruto, not Momoshiki influence, Boruto is actually speaking now. He's actually saying that he wants Kawaki to finish this. He's essentially giving Kawaki the green light now, mainly because he understands the problems that he has caused in the Hidden Leaf Village. Boruto also tells Naruto to give his well wishes to him and Wadi and Hinata. At this particular time, Kawaki rears back and absolutely plunges the hugest, the biggest gaping hole directly in Boruto's chest. And I think this right here is a little bit interesting. Right before he did the attack, he had about 2 triangles in his eyes, Kawaki I'm talking about. When he started to do the attack, 3 triangles appeared. So his dojutsu kind of upgraded during this attack, even though his dojutsu wasn't necessarily used during this attack. Kawaki hit Boruto with almost the exact same thing that he hit Gaara with. The only difference is that Boruto's body didn't necessarily fly apart. It's really only a gaping hole in Boruto's chest. At this particular time, Boruto's lifeless body falls completely to the ground. Isn't moving limbs, isn't talking, isn't gasping for air. He isn't doing anything. This man is completely out. Remind you, again, Shikamaru's watching this, Code's watching this, Naruto's watching this. They're all going ballistic. Well, Code's not necessarily going ballistic. His reaction was kind of neutral, but Shikamaru and Naruto, they're going ballistic, especially Naruto, because of course that's his son. And of course, he just essentially agreed with Kawaki, like, hey, I need you to do this. Now, I didn't necessarily cover every single thing in this chapter, and if you guys do want to see everything, the chapter is coming out. The chapter is coming out in about 3 days, but some of the biggest information that we can actually take away from the spoilers is the fact that Kawaki has a brand new eye. Kawaki, power scaling wise, fights almost exactly like Isshiki Otsutsuki and himself. So it's not necessarily just Isshiki Otsutsuki. Not only that, he essentially matched with BoruShiki in this particular episode, which is impressive in itself, mainly because we understood when Boruto was using Momoshiki's Karma Seal, the Karma 2 version, it was clear that he wasn't necessarily on BoruShiki's level, and for Kawaki to even jump that form of Boruto and jump right to the BoruShiki version of Boruto and be on that level it's impressive in itself. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I cannot wait till the chapter actually comes out, and of course I could actually give my review and opinions about what's happening on this chapter. By the way, if you guys don't know, on my second channel I will probably be streaming a little bit later, potentially even tomorrow, specifically about this chapter. So if you guys want to join the stream, the link to my second channel is going to be in the description down below. Make sure you guys put on notifications for that. But let me know what you guys think about this chapter in the comment section below. It's been absolutely insane. But it's been your boy Baara, and we out.
It's a knife.